Alright guys, so the AM5 platform is kinda looking OP right now. So what if you want it badly, but your budget is limited to 500 euros? What should you do? Well, let me show you how you can do it yourself. But first, we have to lay down the rules.
Oh my god, bro.
Number one, we are capped at 500 euros. We cannot spend even 50 cents more. And if we spend less, then I guess I can't buy myself a kebab or something. But basically, we have to max out the 500 euro budget as much as possible. Second, the PC has to be on AM5 platform and has to be ready for future upgrades, because I guess that's the whole point of this platform, right? Buy now a good CPU and get an even better one a bit later. Third is that what we build actually has to be good for gaming. So not like we buy ourselves a 7800 X3D and then use the iGPU for gaming or something. So as a baseline, it has to run Doom the Dark Ages on at least 1080p and 1440p above 60 FPS. And since after all it is an AM5 build, it has to get over 300 FPS in CS2 and over 100 FPS in Warzone. Sounds crazy, but we will have to achieve this. And fourth, the obvious one, no free stuff. Like, we actually have to buy everything ourselves and not have the XQC floor PC case, which means that we're going to buy a PC case for this thing too. So what kind of components I got, you might be wondering? Well, as for the CPU, I really got three options here. A brand new 8400F for around 100 euros. This used 7500F if I can lowball the guy for 100 euros ish. And this 7600X, which the guy is asking 160 for. But we'd also have to do a bit of lowballing. So let's see how the calls to the sellers go, because these will determine a lot when choosing the other components. Yeah, update guys, we might not do any calls because the deals were available when I was writing the script, but when I came back home in the evening, both of these were sold. So in the end, we're going with this, a brand new Ryzen 5 8400F that I bought for 92 euros here locally with a 2-year warranty. When we made a video about this suspiciously cheap CPU, a lot of people in the comments were saying that the prices are fake and this one is hard to find under 100 euros. Well, to all of those saying that you cannot find it for under 100 euros, just go to Aliexpress then. Plenty of options around 95 euros. As for the motherboard, once again, like we did in a video with the AM4 build and RTX gaming PC under 300 euros, nobody is selling their AM5 boards. Like, literally, the online marketplace is dry. So I had two options. One was buy a brand new B650 board for around 95 euros, but you will not believe what kind of GPU I managed to squeeze in this build, so we had to go cheaper. And a refurbished A620 board for around 55 euros was looking really attractive, but I remembered our second rule. If I went with an A620 board, it meant that we could only realistically use the 65 watt Ryzens, so instead I went ahead and bought this, a refurbished MSI Pro B650 MB motherboard, which we found out in a video we did a couple of weeks back that it is perfectly capable of handling the 7800 X3D, and I bought it for 73 euros and 60 cents, so we'll just round that up to 74. Of course, in comparison to a brand new motherboard, we didn't get the IO shield, which I guess realistically doesn't matter, and we didn't get the 3-year warranty. It is only 3 months instead. So for anyone building this yourself, and especially for long term, I would spend that extra 20 euros for a 3-year warranty and a brand new product, but we had to go cheap for this one, because you'll see the GPU we got. For RAM, I also had to get creative and choose between the two options. This Kingston Fury Beast 16GB 5600 MHz kit for 40 euros, and this Patriot Viper 16GB 5200 MHz kit for 50 euros. Now, you might say, why would I get the Patriot instead if it is slower and it is listed for a higher price? But that's the thing, it is for sale locally, and the listing has been sitting for at least 20 days, so I might be able to lowball this man. So let's see how it goes, or I will have to go with the Kingstons and ship them over instead.
Sveiki, aš čia pagal skelbimą dėl ramų skambino. Okay. O šiaip yra kokia garantija, galiojanti?
Nežinau, jie buvo nupirkti ir dar pasiklausė, žinai,
Nu, tą pirkimo dokumentą.
Jau tikrai bus 5% metų, žinai, nes mano brolis, žinai, prašė, kad tai aš jau galėsiu atbūsti. Dabar iš jų tai neturiu, bet jeigu jam, sakykime, pavarėti, žinai, jam šitą prasme, tai jau privažiuosi šias pasiūlymas.
O kokia galutinė kaina būtų?
10 eurų maksimum.
Nu, supratau. Gerai, aš tada biškį pasigalvosiu ir jei ką paskambinsiu, tai kur būtų galima pasiimti? Bro, this dude is sussy wussy.
Imposter? Is this the imposter from Among Us?
Yes, this is me, imposter.
Alright, so we could go for the Patriots locally as they were 40 euros, but damn, that dude was sus. Like, something was definitely off with this story, so in the end I ended up with the Kingstons for 40 euros. As for the cooler, I bought this Aliexpress unit for 12 euros a couple of months ago and it was laying around. So instead of hunting down some used Cooler Master 212s or something like that, I just used this one. And of course, I could have used a stock CPU cooler for this build, but the second rule kicks in again, so we have to be able to upgrade it in the future easily. So we're going to use this cooler instead. For the case, you will not believe this, guys. What kind of a unit we have managed to score here. Just look at this thing. Not gonna lie, this was sort of an inspiration for this exact build because, I mean, just look at it. How much more weeb can this case get? Like, seriously. Okay, I paid 35 euros for this thing, and I mean, if you don't care about the looks, there are plenty of free or throwaway cases on the marketplace, but we will be balling with this thing. Now, the SSD we got was this used 512 gig Adata Legend 710 for 20 euros. And I do agree that even 1 terabyte of storage these days seems like not enough, but as you can imagine by now, quite a large portion of the budget went towards the graphics card. So we had no other choice but to cheap out on the RAM and the SSD. And the mythical GPU that I was talking about was the XFX Speedster RX 6700 XT 12GB Quick 319, damn, that's a long name, which I bought for 210 euros used. This might look familiar to you all cause, well, it is the same GPU we tested in the 6700 XT video a couple of videos back, and I really love this thing so much that I did basically anything in my power to manage to squeeze in both the AM5 platform and this GPU. With that, the PC will be faster even than the base PS5, which for a 500 euro PC is kinda crazy if you ask me. And damn! When it came time to put the GPU inside the case, it turns out that it's too big. As a backup, I will use the MSI Mech 2X RX 6700 XT, which I bought for 220 euros. And it was more expensive because it had the original box, so it was much harder to negotiate the price, so yeah, unfortunately it was slightly higher. And finally, for the power supply, I went with the Powerman 1200 watt PSU pulled out directly out of the mining rig. And if you remember the previous RTX gaming PC for under 300 euros video, you know that I purchased over 300 X mining power supplies for 17 euros each, so this Powerman unit came from the same batch. Realistically though, if you were building this yourself, you absolutely do not need a 1200 watt power supply for this build, so something like a used Corsair CX600 for around 20 euros will do the job perfectly fine. Now let's assemble everything, pray that everything works, and let's test some games.
Let's play.
Now I'll be honest with you guys, the PC didn't want to boot at first, so I had to perform a BIOS update with a 7000 series CPU, and only then everything fired up nicely. But what about games? Well, I decided to go with 2 esports and 2 AAA games to see the overall capabilities of the PC, and shout out to the 8400F Ryzen for not working properly with the MSI Afterburner. So unfortunately we will not be able to see the temperatures and clocks real time, so we have to trust that they're good. Now, to see if we have achieved the objectives of our challenge, I have started with some esports action, and on CS2's benchmark map, we have got 310 FPS on 1440p medium and 360 FPS on 1080p medium, which I would say is definitely not bad, and over our challenge threshold of 300 FPS. Moving on to some Call of Duty Warzone, we also see that our PC is performing just amazingly. On 1440p balanced we got these, and on 1080p extreme preset we got these benchmark results. Now, Doom The Dark Ages was slightly harder to stomach for our 6700 XT, but not in any way does it mean that the gameplay experience was bad, because for example, even on 1440p medium, natively we were looking at 40-ish FPS, which is not terrible but also not 60. So to get over 60 FPS, I had to call in XeSS for help, which I personally prefer over FSR 3.0, but it's your decision actually. Whatever looks better for you, just use that one instead. So after enabling XeSS on quality, we got over 60 FPS on 1440p medium, and for 1080p medium, we didn't need any upscaling since we hit 60 FPS effortlessly. Now, the second AAA game I chose was Black Myth Wukong, since according to the Steam charts, no one plays Indiana Jones in comparison to Wukong. Wukong is like much more popular. So this is what we got. On 1440p medium with FSR resolution scaling at 75%, we got 61 FPS on average, and on 1080p natively and medium settings, we got 63 FPS. So is it just me, or we're actually getting good performance for the price? Like, it's not the graphics card for 500 euros, it's the whole PC for 500 euros. So basically, I think we definitely put together a very solid and good looking PC, and the best part is that for you to replicate this build, it wouldn't take that much effort, and you can easily substitute the 6700 XT for the 3060 Ti or 2080 Super or whatever is available for around 200 euros on your local marketplace. Of course, finding a pink Hatsune Miku case is definitely a very lucky random find, but apart from that, 8400Fs are plentiful, 16GB DDR5s are plentiful, used 512 SSDs are also easy to find, so I don't know, like, I think we did pretty good here. Also, share what kinds of builds you have managed to put yourself for a similar budget, and thank you so much for watching. Cheap Bastard out.